Good morning, everyone. We are continuing our special coverage, our now week-and-a-half long coverage.
Can you believe that was the longest week of our lives last week?
I know, of many people's lives. Hurricane Katrina and the aftermath, and of course today is a huge day for many folks who live in Jefferson Parish. They'll get the first chance to go back in and check on their belongings, their homes, and see what kind of damage that the hurricane wreaked on their places. And the hopeful thing is, I talked to one of our crew members today. He was able to get back into his home in Kenner. No damage. He's okay, a broken window. I did hear on the radio this morning that some folks were already waiting in line on Airline and on 90, waiting to get into the parish. And unfortunately, it's starting to rain a little down there. So the last thing those folks need is a bit more water.
And hopefully many of them will be able to go into their homes and find, as our co-worker did, just minor damage. The West Bank appears to be the best bank as far as flood
For many
coverage
folks, yeah.
Is concerned, and so they're hoping to find their homes high and dry. And there are a lot of people who are going to be going home, though, to find their homes not anywhere as they left them, and are going to need a great deal of assistance. The mayor has been calling on the federal government for help, and now we see that aid coming our way. Rescues are being made, and people are being saved. People are being moved. There are some 25,000 people in Texas alone.
Yeah, a bit of progress was made over the weekend, quite a bit of progress in getting people out, in saving people. There's still many people to be rescued. The unbelievable thing is, Sally, and I saw this on several reports, the Coast Guard or some of the rescuers would get there and people did not want to leave their homes.
They wouldn't leave.
And I don't understand that for the life of me. They're surrounded by nothing but water. It's not going to get any better for a while, and they won't leave their homes.
Some people do not realize perhaps just how long this is going to last.
Here we're looking at a live shot of Airline Drive and at the Jefferson Parish line where folks are streaming in to come back and look at the damage to their homes.
And we ought to add that Terrebonne Parish has been doing a great deal to help the refugees, the evacuees, the survivors of this storm. Many people have sought refuge in Terrebonne Parish. And so there are many areas of the greater New Orleans area that are already getting back on their feet again, and it's just going to be a matter of weeks before others begin to feel that. And the electricity will come on, and then we'll start to move, and then it will be like a freight train.
There's that U-Haul truck you see people would be bringing in, moving some of their stuff out. You know, and as you mentioned, the spirit, you know, I think we will see grow in the coming days.
Oh my!
Especially when we see when we see the Northshore getting more back to to normal, with the exception of some parts of Slidell that were hit pretty hard. But they, of course, will rebuild too. But we'll see that start to regrow. We'll start to see East Jefferson regrow, the West Bank regrow. Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish is helping out. Then we'll start to see some of that water ease in Orleans and St. Bernard and Plaquemines parishes, and then the road to recovery will be just that much closer.
We are, and actually it's changed a little bit here. We've moved our camera around so you can get a different view. It's starting to back up again. Now, earlier when we came out this morning, this was a long line, stretched back for about 4.5 miles. That was at 6 a.m. when they opened this road up to let people back into Jefferson Parish. But while they had told us they were going to be checking IDs, what they actually did was just opened it wide up, and for a while this traffic was flowing back and forth very smoothly. Now it's backing up again. We don't see that they're checking IDs up there, but I think folks maybe just have heard that it's easier to get in and the traffic is picking up because it does stretch back for quite a while. We did talk with folks who were out here earlier this morning. Many were coming in with big U-Hauls, some bringing in family from Baton Rouge to help them pack up and take back to Baton Rouge as much as they could. We spoke with one gentleman, I want to let you hear from now if we can, who told us that he is preparing for the worst because he just doesn't know what to expect.
We've been hearing stories of roof line water. We've been hearing 4 foot. We really don't know. Just hope for the best.
What has this been like, kind of just wondering what's happened to your home?
Trying, very trying. Just hanging in there, hoping for the best. Just exhausted, not really having places to go, and it's just tough.
And it looks like the people are coming back into Jefferson Parish is moving pretty smoothly. The only thing, if anyone can see your business, many people are going to come back. The gas tanks are going to be empty. My personal recommendation with Aaron Broussard was not to let the people come back this early and let energy get through the work unimpeded. I fully understand Aaron's concerns and the anxiety of the people from Jefferson Parish who want to get back to see their homes. It's not a curiosity. It's anxiety that's down in, and it's just they're away and they're just eating away at wanting to know what's happened. So I fully understand that. We will be supporting that. If anybody's car is abandoned in the middle of the road that in any way impedes energy's work done, I have instructed Energy, and yesterday Aaron Bruce said not only that, I will assign a front end loader to you. We're going to physically remove those cars by whatever means possible, and the cars will probably be damaged. And I don't give a damn. Johnny just we got 4 already that we had to forcibly move. What happens is, also there's a dusk to dawn curfew. I fully understand people want to get back and recover whatever they're coming back for. But what happens, we're going to be vigorously enforcing the curfew at 6 o'clock. So if you come home and for whatever reason you did it, I called my son-in-law all kinds of nasty names because he told me he was coming back. He is safe in Austin, Texas with my wife and my daughter and my grandchildren, and there's no reason for him to come back other than he wanted to see what his house looked like. I told him, I said, you have some minor roof damage, stay the hell away from here. For those people who feel the need to come back, and I fully understand that, and that is not my responsibility. That's Aaron Broussard's responsibility, and he made the decision to let the people come back. But we are working 12-hour shifts. We are fully manned, and the National Guard, we will have 1,000 military police assigned to Jefferson Parish by 6 o'clock tonight. So if anybody's out at 6 o'clock tonight, they will be challenged.
The president, the administration, FEMA, taking a lot of heat for what many are criticizing as the slow response by the U.S. government to help out folks here and along the Gulf Coast.
And he has some moral support accompanying him, the First Lady, Laura Bush, very popular First Lady, and apparently very compassionate. People feel her compassion.
Did you see her in Lafayette the other day?
I did not.
I saw her there, and of course, you know, she just has a demeanor about her that is very comforting for a lot of people, and she spoke to people, she spoke to the media, and just a very gracious woman. Yes,
and I think that it was a wise decision for the president to be accompanied by the First Lady, because this is an emotional time. It's not just a time where we're talking about.
I believe we see the president right there shaking hands with some of the people. I see the back of his head.
Yes, and the First Lady. And again,
I think that's the governor's husband. It looks like Coach, and I believe in the red shirt that might be Governor Kathleen Blanco. But I see her husband, Coach Blanco, right there.
They're talking to the First Lady, and this is a time that this state and Mississippi and Mississippi and Alabama are going to depend on the federal government to come through on many of the promises that have been made. Already $10.5 billion has been appropriated, but that is just the beginning of what is going to be needed to bring back this area.
That's right. Our Ben Lemoyne has been out there with those residents who are so anxious to get back, to see exactly what they have left, to get whatever items they can and get back out. And so we're going to take a look at what Ben Lemoyne found today.
Shauna Lee, this is the scene right now, but earlier today here on Airline Drive, people were lined up all along the sides of these roads, waiting to get into Jefferson Parish to get just a glimpse of their house. As you know, Parish President Aaron Broussard has told people just to try to come in and take a look at what you can, do a few repairs, get what you need, and then get out. So we took a drive this morning at about 6 o'clock with many of the people going to look at their houses. This is basically what they saw. Roy Hawk walked into his house to see about a foot of floodwater this morning. He already had mold growing on his walls. The water went up about a foot right there, and you can see that the mold already began growing there. He had to slosh through soggy carpet, and he says he's going to have to rip that out. He's also going to have to rip out his sheetrock. He says he'll spend several days trying to make those repairs, and then he's just going to try to head out. Elsewhere, trees were down blocking roads. They had some wind damage, some water on some of the roads. It had already gone down in many of the areas of Metairie. Greg Livaday was already cleaning out his gutters. His whole house was intact. There was just a smell of a foul fridge. His wife and son cleaned out that fridge this morning, and they cleaned it out, buried it in the backyard. That's what Parish President Aaron Broussard is telling people to do. Take your stuff out of your refrigerator and bury it in the backyard. Of course, they do not know when they will have any sort of garbage collection anytime soon. But most people that we talked to did say they were pleased. They say that they have less damage than they expected. Of course, a lot of people just trying to get in here, take a look at that. But again, only 3 days. Parish President Aaron Broussard wants people to come in here, look at what you can, and then try to get out. Most people we talked to also said that's what they're going to do. They're going to rip out that sheetrock, rip out that carpet, put it in the front yard, and then try to head out until they get some electricity and they can make some more permanent repairs.
And Meg, of course, this is your area, and so we're going to turn to you. I know that we have a doctor who we're going to talk to.
This is who we're going to talk to on the phone is Dr. Jim Diaz, who evacuated. He is a professor of public health over at LSU Health Sciences Center. But this is what is so interesting about Dr. Diaz. He did a study that was published on hurricanes and what the aftermath would be, why we're getting so many more hurricanes. And many of the things that they learned in that study are actually coming true. And Dr. Diaz, good morning to you.
Good morning, Meg.
One of the things I'm very concerned about, I'm already hearing about friends who got the tiniest little scrape, tiniest little abrasion, not a cut on their ankles, but they touched that flood water and they're already seeing, infection and inflammation. What do people need to know about who have touched that flood water?
Well, I'm very concerned about the retained floodwaters, and I'm sorry that more of our citizens didn't evacuate, because now we have a situation where we have highly contaminated retained floodwaters that are contaminated not only with germs, microbial agents of several varieties, but also with toxic chemicals. And I'm concerned about people having sores that don't heal, developing infection in bone, which we call osteomyelitis, particularly if they've sustained a fracture, say tripping in a culvert or in a storm drain because they can't see the bottom of the turbid waters. Mm-hmm. And I'm also concerned about the transmission of enteric or food and waterborne diseases because people can't practice good personal hygiene. They don't have access to hand washing facilities. They don't have access to showers. They don't even have access to soap and water or even some of the Clorox-containing sanitary wipes. And I would recommend that people, if they can get their hands on these sort of sanitary hand washing materials, either materials that are on little towelettes or materials in squirt bottles, that they please use these every time they use the bathroom and anytime they prepare food or anytime they're preparing to eat.
When I talked to you the other day, we think infection, you think diarrhea, upset stomach. You told me we're talking about infections that are fatal, that could be fatal from a small cut.
That's correct. With the real problem with the public health consequences of hurricanes that are associated with retained floodwaters, which is unique to New Orleans. This is not happening to the same extent on the Mississippi and Alabama Gulf Coast. The problem is that the organisms that normally live in Lake Pontchartrain, in the Gulf of Mexico, are now in neighborhoods, and they're thriving under conditions of high temperatures and a preferred environment. We don't have cholera that lives in our waters, but we have some organisms that are related to cholera.
Well, good afternoon, Lee and Shauna. There is some good news to report here. The water seems to have dropped down over the last couple of days since we've been here. I can show you behind me here as we walk through the water. You can see the water line up on the store level. It's probably gone down about a foot or so just in the last 2 days when the storm hit. Still very much the sound of sirens in this area because this is still very much a very catastrophic scene. Over here in the distance, coming right towards us, some military vehicles. Still very much a rescue operation here. We rode out with some members of the Oklahoma National Guard as they went through some of the uptown homes to look for people inside. Quite an interesting story. They had gotten And this, in fact, let me just update you here. This looks like it's a diesel truck coming in with some jet fuel. Very much needed during this time. A lot of shortages in a lot of different areas as it pushes the water and this canoe down the street. The water has gone down here for the most part. Still very much a lot of water stretching down Canal Street as we go towards the lake. This canoe, though, not very much needed any longer because these trucks are able to pass through, which is critical to get some of these supplies and people out there. But as I was saying earlier, we were riding along with the Oklahoma National Guard as they went through some homes in the uptown area. What they do is they were still getting 911 calls from people trapped inside, and so they went door to door to door to these homes that had called 911 to try to get some help. We actually rode out with them for a good chunk of the day. Saw a bunch of people out in the neighborhoods with water much deeper than this, water up to their chest, up to their waist levels. Guess what? They did not want to leave. They wanted to stay in their homes. They had survived the storm there. They'd been there for over a week now. They wanted to stay. The military personnel we were with asked them, told them, this is your last chance to go. You might not get help for another month. Do you have enough food and water to stay here for that long? The answer, all the time, yes we do, we want to stay. So a lot of New Orleanians who chose not to evacuate, choosing not to evacuate for a second time here. But in terms of Canal Street in the downtown area, which is where we're at right now, there is some good news. Water is going down a little bit. Across the city, officials report that the water is dropping, which is very good news for the New Orleanians here. French Quarter directly behind us, still very much high and dry for the most part. Canal getting drier and downtown getting drier as well. Lee and Shauna?
Jonathan, I think it's incredible, when we hear that there are people who were still there and now they have a second opportunity to evacuate and they're choosing not to evacuate. And I know that the mayor has called on all of those folks to get out of there, but these people are just refusing. So you all left them behind. They just would not get in the truck or whatever you were in to evacuate?
Exactly, Sean. We were in a large military 8-wheel HIMMET, is what they call it, with the National Guard from Oklahoma. They were driving through these neighborhoods. The water was so high, it was on top of these tires, which they tell me is about 5 feet tall. So at least 5-6 feet of water in some of these neighborhoods. We saw them on their porches, out their windows, asked them to go. They said no, they wanted to stay, even though some of them had water inside of their homes.
And now we're going to go back to the State Office of Emergency Preparedness, where our Ton Trung is standing by with Senator David Vitter. Ton?
Well, just a short while ago, the President did visit here at the State Office of Emergency Preparedness to give a message to everybody here. And joining us now is Senator David Vitter to give us some perspective of what was discussed in those meetings, those closed-door meetings with some of the officials here from Louisiana. And Mr. Vitter, what was the message that President Bush was sending to you and to the people of Louisiana?
Well, first of all, it was a briefing. He wanted to hear from General Honore and the others in charge on the ground. He wanted to hear from us, those of us who are from Louisiana. So he was really here listening. But then he also had a message, which was, number one, this is going to get done. This is an absolute focused commitment. And also that to do it, we all need to fix problems, and he's focused exclusively on that. And so that was a very comforting and very unifying message.
You've heard in the past few days some comments that it's not worth rebuilding New Orleans. How do you respond to that?
I haven't heard a lot of those comments, maybe with the one exception of that ridiculous quote from the Speaker of the House, but I haven't heard those other comments. And it is clearly worth it to me. I grew up in New Orleans and live there, here in Metairie now, and I think everybody feels that way, and that's certainly the clear, bold commitment of the President.
How challenging will that be? I'd imagine that you have a myriad of issues ahead of you in reconstructing a great city.
It's going to be enormously challenging, and we're trying to walk through all of those challenges now and try to think ahead and think outside the box because we need to. But also, this is a moment of opportunity. It's a tragic opportunity, but it's an opportunity to get some of these things done that we've been trying to get done with federal or other help for 30 years. Now is the time to strike and do it and get it in one lump sum and get these important big things done.
Before, in the previous days, there's been some criticism that the President did not respond in a timely fashion. Mayor Nagin had said that. What did this visit mean to Louisiana, to the people here by the President today?
Well, I think it's very clear that he's absolutely focused and absolutely committed. And he's also committed to what we should all be focused on, fixing problems, not just fixing blame. In my opinion, there's going to be plenty of blame to go around, and it'll be state and federal, it'll be completely bipartisan, but we need to fix problems now.
You have to wait in line a while, but the reward is the necessities of life in these after Katrina days. Ice, water, and military food rations.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's such an organized thing. It's just great to have them here. I don't know what we do without them. You know, ice and water, hard to come by right now.
What do you think about the work these people are doing?
Oh, this is wonderful. Thank y'all so much. Thank everybody so much. This is great. It's so organized. Everybody's just putting forth effort. This is just wonderful. I can't say thank you enough.
Help is coming into St. Tammany, but it hasn't been fast enough for Slidell Mayor Ben Morris. And he says there's been way too much federal red tape.
Things have improved, but we're still faced with some of the most incredible, stupid, ignorant regulations by FEMA. They have turned generators away from us. They've turned fuel away from us because they determined, or the driver determined, that it wasn't the correct spot to put it. The generators, the site hadn't been inspected yet. We've got to bring an inspector in to see where the thing is going. You know, bring me generators. We're in a catastrophic situation, and that is absolutely incredible. We have heard that FEMA or some federal agencies are going around seizing equipment from our contractors, etc. If they do that, they better bring weapons, because I'll be goddamn if I'm going to give anything up to a bunch of feds coming in and we're in a catastrophic situation and taking our stuff. And I am really pissed off, and I'm getting tired of this. They need to start doing things that make sense and quit all this horse that doesn't mean a damn thing to anybody except some bureaucrat in Washington.
But there are hopeful signs that life on the North Shore is slowly starting to recover. A handful of gas stations are now open, but expect to wait for hours and hours.
I had to come back home. I had to see what condition my house was in and my community. And we love Mandeville. And I don't think after seeing everyone else pull together here, it's because of the people here, not because of the government or anything else. It's the people that make St. Tammany Parish. And I know that in about a couple of weeks, a month, I'm really confident that it's going to come back, and it's going to come back stronger than it ever was before.
The Red Cross now has a massive kitchen to prepare thousands of meals. All across St. Tammany, the few people who have returned home are already trying to clean up the storm debris. And they're trying to put it into emotional terms they can understand.
As I went through the hurricane, and as I'm going through it, I think adrenaline you do what you have to do. And now I'm getting to that point where everything is just kind of sinking in. And it's almost like a depression, but I'm lucky and I'm depressed. Somebody else that wasn't lucky, I can't imagine or fathom what they must be feeling. But just knowing, it's almost like if you have to clean something up, and when you start to see some progress, it just, you know, it's a start. You have to start somewhere.
Power crews are making progress in clearing the debris so they can begin repairing electric lines. But it still looks like electricity is 3 to 6 weeks away. Officials say given the heat, the damage, and the miserable living conditions here, stay away for now if you evacuated.
We're still asking people to stay out. There's no electricity, which means there's no air conditioning, there's nothing, no TV, none of that. And life would be absolutely miserable. The heat is oppressive, and coming back here or staying in Slidell, and to me, is really not an option at this point in time.
But there is one big exception. Essential workers need to come back.
All personnel for government, hospitals, and the like, we'd like for them, only those personnel, leave their families, and those people come back.
We're talking about essential government, hospital, law enforcement.
Law enforcement, public agencies such as parish governments, city governments. If you are outside, leave your family, but we need those personnel to come back to help now relieve the people that are here. Every municipality, every essential personnel, if you work in public works, for a government, we need that individual back to work.
Each day, St. Tammany Parish seems to get a little stronger, but it's still an area terribly wounded by Hurricane Katrina. And officials say at this point, do yourself a favor. If you evacuated, stay away from home until they give the all clear. On the North Shore, I'm Mike Ross, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
And there we see it's still very devastating there in some parts of the North Shore. St. Tammany Parish still telling people to stay away, and they're doing what they can to restore the situation there. But it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time.
And I guess the news is brighter, though, on the western side of the parish, because Mandeville and Covington, power is starting to get restored there, and folks should be back in their houses there fairly soon for a lot of people, as long as they didn't suffer too much damage. So definitely the eastern part of St. Tammany, Slidell area took a hard hit from this storm, but Mandeville and Covington definitely made it out a little better. And if you live there, you will be getting back home soon.
And that is very, very good news.
When they would shoot at us, we could not return fire. You know how my commander Jeff Wynn and his SWAT team were taking guns in that havoc? Where they see the light or the gun flash, they would go towards that area, pounce on individuals, and search individuals and physically take the guns from them with their hands. This is what this New Orleans Police Department was doing. When you talk about courage, how much courage would it take to do that one time? Captain Winnie's unit did it over 30 times between the convention center and the Superdome. There were rumors that police officers were standing by watching people get raped. Are you crazy? We did everything we can human possible to protect human life. Not one of my police officers that was on that scene or that front line succumbed to the pressures that they were talking about, that we're talking about standing around watching things happen without doing anything. That's incredible. You can have some of the most heroic men and women in the history of this world of law enforcement, and all you could find was a few cowards that walked away to interview them? If you want to talk to me, you know where I was at? On Convention Center Boulevard in the middle of that crowd. People went, where's the chief? Where's the chief? Where's the mayor? You know where the mayor was at? On the front line in the command post at the Hyatt Regency, a building that was being seized. People said, well, you know, we don't see the mayor on TV. Well, how could I brief the mayor as the superintendent of police if he was here in Baton Rouge doing interviews? You have people who have made the ultimate sacrifice for this city. This mayor will go down in history as the greatest mayor in the history of the United States of America. America better be glad that they have a man like Ray Nagin, or we'd have had a lot more people dead. You know, people say by me being a street cop, I shouldn't have been a superintendent of police. My administrative skills. But I tell you what, if I wasn't a street cop, a lot of my men would have got killed. We did not lose one officer in battle. Not one officer was lost because of training in this New Orleans Police Department. And when you look at how many people we saved, our primary mission was protection of human life. We were the first boats in the water for the life-saving efforts. Then, when the fire department started to put out fires, they started firing upon the fire trucks. So we had to dispatch our officers to go to those locations and protect those firemen. I was in a Black Hawk helicopter that was supplied to me by Sheriff Harry Lee, spotting for the search and rescue. When my SWAT team was fired upon, I had to leave that mission to go and spot for snipers. We had to use so much of our manpower to fight this criminal element instead of using it to saving human lives. I don't know what kind of individual would shoot at someone that's trying to save them. I had officers in boats who were being shot at, and they were pulling people out the water. Captain Timmy Bayard saved thousands of lives in a boat, pulling people out of water. This is police officers, ladies and gentlemen, using their own boats, doing these type of things. This is the real story. This is the story what went on out there on that front line. We were sleeping on the streets. I had the same underwear on for 5 days. There were no restroom facilities. There were no way for us to get medical attention. I have an officer, Gary Flight, that has an infection in his leg that I don't know what's going to be the results of that because he was wading around in that nasty water. I had 2 of my officers commit suicide because they were worrying about their families. The human sacrifice that this police department made is unprecedented in the annals of our country. And I really think America really needs to know that instead of trying to find a few cowards who walked away, they need to really look at all the heroic acts that was done.
Look at that. We see the water being pumped out.
Look at that water. That's an
A lot
amazing
of it.
sight.
It is.
That is an
That is
amazing,
an amazing sight.
Wow. And that's a good sight
I
to see
know.
that water being pumped out.
And it's a lot. It is a lot. It's just coming out of there. You wonder how long it'll take, but
you know, this is what
it's
they've
always
been
a
working
start.
on.
Yeah.
This is what they've been working so hard at. And finally is happening. That water is being pumped out. There, the 17th Street Canal, pumping station number 6. I think it's the largest pumping station there. And perhaps not working at full capacity, but working nonetheless at pumping that water out. It's happening.
It is happening.
It is.
Look at the water coming out. Nice little flow as we take a look at, as we go up a little while and take a look at actually how they have the pumping, I guess, pumping out figured out. And look at that. It's works its way up there and the water just comes out.
Yeah, and that's what we were wondering, where they were going to pump that water.
You're
that
right.
was the big question. Where were they going to pump that water? But they have worked it all out, and after shoring up that hole, filling up that hole, now the water is being pumped out. It's just a massive operation. It is an impressive operation.
It
When you
is.
look at everything that's going on there and everything that had to come together to make this happen. And they really have been working hard at trying to make this all happen, and it's working.
Well, they patched up from the beginning of the canal to the lake. They started with that and they cut that off, and then they've been working on the actual levee breach for a few days now, and they basically had that figured out now, and then they had to get the pumps up and running and to begin the process of pumping the water out.
Exactly. And again, folks, you're watching a live shot of the 17th Street Canal. This is, of course, we know we've been talking so much about the levee breach there, and they've been working to plug up that hole with using 3,000-pound bags of sand as well as concrete. And they've been working for days to actually start pumping the water out. They had sealed it off from the lake, and so they've been working to actually pump that water out, and it seems now that everything is working according to plan, and they are in fact pumping it out.
Look how much they need to pump out. I mean, there's a
much
lot
they
of
do
water
need.
there.
Yeah, even when you look at how much they are pumping out, you're right. Look at how much they still need to pump out. But at least progress is being made here.
Well, that's a good shot right there. You can tell the water on the right, how much there is, and then look on the left. Just the water coming out, and they're pumping it out. That's a great shot there. That tells the story right here.
It certainly does. You can see how much, they have to pump out and how much they are pumping out.
17th Street Canal water is beginning to run the other way, which is good news for everyone in that area, because I know a lot of people there want to go there and I guess look at their damage and I guess start to recover and start the rebuilding process.
This is a great sight for a lot of people.
I'm pleased to report today that our National Guard and FEMA continue to make outstanding progress in the response to Hurricane Katrina. The force level of Task Force Pelican, composed of National Guard troops from 30 states and under my command and led by General Bennett Landreneau, has increased to 20,000 troops as of now. An additional 4,000 National Guard troops will arrive tomorrow. In addition to their vital life-saving and law and order mission, the troops of Task Force Pelican have distributed some 620,000 bottles of water. General, did you want to make that particular part of the report?
You need to be the one to do it. You're in charge.
And 320,000 meals at 20 distribution points staffed by guardsmen, the Texas Forestry Service, and parish volunteers. On behalf of the people of Louisiana, I want to send a special message to these men and women and all the volunteers who are working so hard to save and preserve lives. Every act of kindness, every life-saving act is an answer to a prayer. Joint Task Force Katrina is sending in ships, cargo planes, hospitals with medical supplies and personnel, medical personnel, convoys of trucks, helicopters. They're sending in the kind of equipment to do the really big thing, and we've got a lot of work left to do. Now, Task Force Katrina is headed by General Honore, General Russ Honore. I want to say God bless them all for the hard work and compassion that all of these men and women have brought to their important work. We have angels of mercy from all over the country and from all over the world. They've been helping our citizens all week long. God bless them. Yesterday, I toured the storm-ravaged areas of St. Tammany, St. Bernard, and Plaquemine parishes. What I saw was a region of our state devastated and almost destroyed. And I see that one of my legislators, State Representative Nita Hutter, is here with one of her parish government people. They weathered the storm, and they were in a building that the water rose. They were on the second floor, and when they looked out on their parish, all they saw was water as far as the eye could see. Every building in that parish has been inundated with water. They're real survivors. Today's her first day out into civilization, and I just want to say a special welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
What I saw was a region of our state just destroyed. It was devastating. But I also know that this storm did not destroy the spirit of our people, and the hope remains. The citizens of those parishes who are there working to put it back together are strong. They're tough people. They're resilient people. The people in southeast Louisiana are already making plans to rebuild their lives and to rebuild their communities. Because they're so strong, and because I've been saying it, now I can tell you with confidence, we will rebuild, because I see it happening before my very eyes. I see the recovery going on as we speak.
This is going to be a Herculean task to rebuild, and everything that we have, we're going to bring to bear to help rebuild this great state. Our objective, the FEMA objective, is simply this: to help bring Louisiana people and families back home.
Thank you, Mike.
Since we had access to Jefferson Parish, we were able to take Veterans Boulevard to the 17th Street Canal, and on the eastern side of that canal bridge, we were able to catch a boat ride with a couple of residents who live in the Lakeview area, Mike Goodrich and Richie LeBlanc, and they were kind enough to give us a tour and an opportunity to look at some of the flooded streets of Lakeview. We took the boat to Pontchartrain Boulevard, went down Pontchartrain Boulevard. Wow. We went down look at those streets homes. like Fillmore, Harrison, and West End Boulevard. You can see from the video that the water in some places reached the rooftops, the gutters, and the bottom of the second floor of some homes. And we didn't venture very far, maybe a small area of a couple of miles up and down the streets. You'll see street signs, nearly the water up to the height of a street sign. This is West End and Harrison Avenue. And in most places, you'll find that the water and debris did reach the top of windows and of the first floor. We probably spent about 45 minutes in the boat today driving around, and you do see down power lines, and there were plenty of fallen trees, and you have to be very careful. But these guys took us around, and we were able to check some of the things.
Brent, did you see any residents by boat, such as you were, trying to go see the property? Because there's no way they can get in them and salvage anything right now.
Right. This morning, we saw a couple of people at the end of Veterans, which was a makeshift boat launch for the day. We saw a couple of people, and most of the people we talked to there at the boat launch were not from Lakeview. They were there just to see the sights. And we met one couple who said that, if we take a flatboat, we can get out here and do this. Well, the guys we caught a ride with were already out on the water. They said they've started this every day for the last 3 or 4 days at 10 a.m. They'll go to the boat launch, pick people up, survey their property, check it out. And they've been doing this, and they've had a pretty good understanding of lay of the land, so to speak.
They're just doing this to be nice.
Right, they're just doing this just to be nice. But when we were heading back to the launch at the end of the day, there were officers and troops there, I think deterring the
They don't want sightseers out there. Just
exactly, and they were
scouting
clearing
around.
the area.
Now, could you tell from the water line or anything if the water has receded any around these homes? Because the water supposedly has gone down with the tide, at least.
I did notice that there was a watermark about 2 feet above the water level that we're seeing on some of these houses. And it's tough to see on the video, but you can see where about 2 feet higher than that, you can find grass and leaves on the house, leaving a watermark.
Live on Canal Street right now is our own Jonathan Betts. And Jonathan, what can you tell us about what's going on there? We've been watching the video, and still looks like quite a bit of flooding there.
Well, good evening to you guys. Yeah, there is still a lot of water here on Canal Street, about a foot and a half deep. But this is shallow compared to other parts of New Orleans, which still sees up to 10 feet of water in some places, like Uptown, which is where we were earlier today with search and rescue crews, as they went through Uptown homes looking for survivors, but instead finding a lot of surprises. A week after Hurricane Katrina, the mission is still very much search and rescue. But today, we'd find very few to save.
We're just checking houses, a bunch of 911 calls, people asking for help. We're just checking to make sure everybody's going to get out.
We rode along with members of the Oklahoma National Guard as they used military trucks to search swamped neighborhoods. They dodged down power lines and drove through 6 feet of water, looking for the last survivors who called 911 after the storm.
We are responding to those addresses to pull those folks out and get them to safety.
Not yet. But on the way to those homes, they keep coming across scenes like this.
You don't want to leave? You know they're not going to be back for a month, right? You can be by yourself for a month. Everything's good? I got a pot-bellied pig and about 4 cats.
People sitting on their porch, surrounded by water, refusing to leave.
Okay.
So the soldiers move on to the next house on the list, wading deeper into the city.
Keep coming.
We've reached the house where the 911 call came from, but there's no answer, so rescuers are going inside. And he returns, again disappointed.
What'd you see inside? I didn't see anything. I checked every room, every closet. Didn't see anything.
So they keep moving and stumble across this man, Reverend Johnny Montgomery, wading through water with a pool toy, looking not for help,
You want in?
but for his wallet.
And I was just searching around to see if I could find it. But that's all right. I'm alive. But I don't have the wallet. I told myself, anybody find it, I live at 4120 LaSalle Street. Right there. And if they want it, they can have the money if I can get my ID.
I sure wish you'd get in here with us.
Oh, well.
Come on.
Oh, let me see.
We got room.
Everything's all right. Everything's all right.
He's 82, and so he stays with what's familiar.
I don't understand it. I don't understand. I guess I can understand it because probably everything that he owns in the world's right here.
The soldiers plead, and he insists.
Barry says he's not going to come.
So the truck moves on, like so many times before. They return this time without a single survivor, leaving them behind in the water, each searching for something they'll never find. Rescuers made it clear to the people in the water this was their last chance for safety. Each of them replied they had plenty of food and water, and they'll need it because engineers say it could take a month for them to drain New Orleans. Reporting live on Canal Street, Jonathan Betts, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
All right, Jonathan, it is difficult to see people stay there, and yet you kind of understand because that is, as you said, that's what he knows. That's what he doesn't want to leave it.
Downtown on Davis Street, there is nothing left of the needlepoint store, the jewelry store, the clothing store, the baby store that used to stand here. Needlepoint yarn is all tangled up in the debris. On the beach in Pascagoula that separates East Beach from West Beach, the yacht club is nothing but some pilings. Up on the highway at St. Paul's Catholic Church, something that rescue workers told us they're calling a miracle. The cross out front still stands. The Virgin Mary's statue still stands. Even though the church is destroyed, the tabernacle for the Eucharist is still there, and the large crucifix not a nick. And what amazes rescue workers most, among all this destruction and broken glass, not one piece of stained glass of the Stations of the Cross is broken. And along the streets downtown, you find something else. This book open to this page, Shelter from the Storm. A block away, this page ripped out that says, Not the Will of God. It is obvious that people from other places are trying to help. There are boxes and boxes of clothes that have been sent from all over. And there are signs of people who look back and remember Camille as the good old days. Because of police presence, it was very hard to get into Pascagoula. But when I told one officer that my family had a summer home there, he allowed our camera crew in to see what was left. For my entire life, we've come to this area, and I'm having a hard time recognizing if this is our property, but I believe this is our property. If you look over here, do you see that blue and flower power sheet hanging in the tree? That's one of our sheets, and I think that's the only reason I can recognize that we're on our property, and possibly this big oak tree, an area where I've come for my entire 47 years of life. I can no longer recognize. That's how bad it is. Okay, now I know this is our property, which I had such a hard time telling because I see the tire in the tree that all my nieces and nephews would swing on. And here, right here, is our next door neighbors that had just built this big white house. It was brand new. I mean, brand spanking new. Here's our swimming pool. As you can see, the water in it's totally blackened, and the trees and the deck and everything around it are gone. I think that's what's left of our house, but what's so strange is it doesn't look like our house because there's other houses just moved over to the street. So it may be the house, but if you notice, there's all these cars that weren't ours that are all over the front lawn. There's a yellow Corvette. I've never seen that in the neighborhood before. Here's where the front porch step was. These were the azalea bushes that were right out front. And the only reason now I really know that this was our family home because I recognize this floor. And this coming up here is the dining room, living room area. You can see if you look up on the second floor, those posters sticking up, those posts, those were a room of just a bunch of old bunk beds from my childhood. This was a summer vacation home for my entire extended family, and so there wasn't really personal memories in here, except when I did see this, I got a little choked up. Way back in that tree is a multicolored blanket that my grandmother, who of course is deceased, had crocheted. And again, I tell people they think about coming to salvage anything, I just don't know where you begin. But on the other hand, you see some strange things. If you look over there on a cushion, you see a piece of china untouched, perfectly fine. That's not ours, that's not our cushion. And maybe our next door neighbors, the Bells or the Shorts who come back and look here, maybe that one little piece of china will make them very happy. Maybe it belonged to somebody in their family. Now, I have no idea who this is. This was in the rubble of our house or right next door to our house. And this is someone's prized possession. And I can only hope that he's safe. And I'm going to leave it here. But look at Highway 90. Look at this mattress in Highway 90. Look at the hole in Highway 90. And quite honestly, there is raw sewage in many places, and you just don't even want to walk near it. It's definitely not safe to come near it. And if you could see the beach, it's a beautiful, hot, sweaty, but windy, calm day, and it's hard to believe. If this was a normal Sunday, all the people who would be out there enjoying the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
You know, with all the bad things the Lakeview area is enduring post-Hurricane Katrina, photographer Tom Moore and our producer Brent Leday found 2 Lakeview residents who are determined to make the best of their situation.
Near State Troop B in Metairie, Veterans Boulevard becomes a boat launch to the Lakeview area. The breach in the levee of the 17th Street Canal leaves homes flooded with water just feet below the street signs.
And this is Harrison Avenue. Everything's pretty much under about 9 feet of water.
Lakeview residents Richie LeBlanc and Mike Goodrich are spending their days on the water in Lakeview.
Michael and I we just met 7 days ago on a on a Fillmore Bridge. We got out and got people off their roofs, chopped through some walls, got people out of attics, saved a few lives, you know. It was nothing, no big deal. I mean, big deal to them, but just to stay alive, we did that for about 2 days.
In a borrowed boat, the two have rescued people, surveyed property, and today give a neighbor her first look at her home.
This is all gone. We got to go to Colbert. I think we can get through straight. No, we're going to go to Fillmore. I'm going to go back to Fillmore. It's the best thoroughfare.
That'll be all right, man.
Laura Minhubar and her family evacuated New Orleans a week ago. They returned today, uncertain of what they may find.
It's a disaster. It's just awful. At first, I don't want to come and see it because I feel like it's the end of everything.
With only rooftops as landmarks, recognizing her home proves to be challenging.
We are 68 and 11. 67 now.
68, 11 is the next block.
That's one, right there. That's the one. Right there.
It is, yeah. That's the one.
You want to come inside? Floor's wet?
Yeah, look how bad it is.
The floor is wet.
It's wet?
Yeah. You want to come in?
Yes, please.
Be very careful.
Elvira, take everything you can, especially with your clothes.
There you go. Make a little slip
In 20 minutes, she salvages all that she can from the second floor.
How you doing, baby? You okay?
Yes, yes.
Huh? Grab your water. Grab your water.
Tell us so we're going to be okay.
Get your water,
with
baby. Hey, you got your life. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, that's the main point.
It's going to be okay. Well, it makes me feel good. You know, I'd be foolish to say otherwise, you know. But it's what keeps us going. It's really what keeps us going.
They use a bless from God because, you see, when I saw all this floor around, I thought I'm never going to see my house again. But these people, they made possible to come here and get my stuff, at least part of my stuff, and I'm happy with that, and I feel sorry because the other people, you see the house.
The worst thing that could happen to Michael and I now is to be evicted from here, as though we were looters or something. You know, we know we're providing a service, and it's what keeps us going. You know, so we're grateful for that. You know, we've been blessed.
Producer Brent Leday for Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
You get the sense of what awaits you on the other side, on the island, as it is commonly called. The first impressions are staggering. It's as if nature called in an airstrike on this barrier island community on the Gulf of Mexico. On either side of LA-1, the main street, is debris of ruined buildings.
The people who live and work on the island say that most of the camps here were either heavily damaged or destroyed. I mean, look around. It doesn't take much imagination to understand the power of the punch that Katrina landed when she ripped through here 1 week ago.
Grand Isle Mayor David Commerdell left the island just ahead of Katrina. After the storm, he and his team had to cut their way back down Highway 1.
So we're not going to turn around. We got to go see what's left of the island. So what we did, we turned around and a bunch of men just taking debris, throwing it aside to get a couple of pickup trucks through. And we finally made it to the town hall right before dark, and we couldn't go to the eastern part of the island. And all you can hear from the men, you know, we shedding tears together.
Everywhere you look is evidence of the indiscriminate power of the hurricane. This used to be Wayne Eshte's shrimp dock, one of the thriving commercial fishing businesses on the island. It's now just pilings. The crew of this trawler once called this their home port.
They know the challenge of rebuilding, but they do not hesitate.
This is my life. It's part of my heritage, and I just can't give it up. My father, my grandfather, and I'm like the third generation trying to keep it going.
And that's the same attitude the mayor has.
And you know, we lived down here, we were born and raised here, and we knew sometime in our lifetime, when, you know, being a dad, a family man, and just knowing that you have to show the little ones that you experience with your family.
Then there is the Bridgewater Hotel and Marina on the western tip of the island. Owner Buggy Vega works on the remains of his wrecked business. As he and his family clean the muck and timber away, he makes this vow. You're gonna rebuild?
Oh yeah.
Why?
That's what we do. You know, the island's in good shape. Got rid of some old stuff and it'll be better. We have a real nice place here.
Is it because this is your way of life?
This is it. We ain't leaving Grand Isle.
Luckily, no one died here, and the beach, recently restored and widened by about 200 feet, is still intact, despite Katrina's onslaught. On Grand Isle, I'm Logan Banks, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
And we want to thank you for joining us for our live coverage. Our live coverage resumes at 6 o'clock in the morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, and we leave you now with words of encouragement from Oprah Winfrey, who visited the evacuees there at the Houston Astrodome today. Good night, everybody.
Well, I was in New Orleans spending the day, all day yesterday actually, with the mayor and the police chief. I flew over the city and then went to the Superdome. And, you know, I want to say to all of you who still remain in New Orleans to not only to keep your faith, but I'm going to do my part to make sure that this country does not forget. You know, what I do best is allow people to tell their stories and to tell the truth in their stories. And so that's why I wanted to come to New Orleans to see it for myself and experience it for myself and to hear the people in their own words tell me what they have been through, to walk through the Superdome and see what other people had to live through. And so my pledge is to keep telling the stories, and I would hope and I know that WWL is going to do the same thing, because this story is a big headline for the entire country and many parts of the world right now. But the rebuilding of the lives of all of these survivors, not refugees, but survivors, is what should be utmost in our minds and hearts, not only as individuals, but as government and as a nation. And what I know is that we are a great people here in the United States, and people want to help. And what we, the media, have to do is to give people guidance as to where to and how to help the most. So I know that God is blessing Louisiana, even as I speak, and I just hope that everybody watching keeps your strength.